Hello there, and welcome back to War Thunder. Today I want to have a first impressions on the M48A2 G A2, and this is now Germany's new 8.0 rank 5 tank in the tech tree coming after the Leopard. And the first thing that we have to summarize this tank up is that it's weird for me, and you might be a bit confused why so. So first of all, it has the same gun and the same ammunition as the Leopard. The mobility forwards is actually comparable over medium terrain and in terrain with a lot of mud or soft terrain. I think it has a slight advantage to the Leopard for better ground pressure, which is a bit surprising, but in terms of reverse and acceleration and turning the tank, the Leopard is of course better due to the better horsepower to ton ratio. But this tank can actually reach its top speed of 51 kilometers an hour, not just on roads but also if you give it a long run. So if you have huge maps, this tank can actually overtake a Leopard 1, which is surprising. The one thing that I want to point out on this tank is, why does it sit at 8.0? I do not understand. It makes a huge difference in its battle rating range where it is, because I think there is a lot of compression going on, and that was just one of the things that I just couldn't wrap my head around it, up until the point that I looked into the American tech tree and knew what was going on in the backside of my head, what just was refusing to accept this tank to a certain degree. And that is, out of all the tanks, the Magach 3. That is a very similar tank for all intents and purposes, very similar hull, the turret plays out equally, and it has era protection with the same gun, same firepower, and comparable mobility for all intents and purposes, I guess. So the problem that I have with this tank is that the Magach 3 is at the same battle rating as the Leopard, but has era protection. Why is that important? Well, I think that the M48A2, aside from meeting Russians, faces a lot of opposition that sling hash at it and heat, and also ATGMs get shot at it quite regularly, especially from American helicopter speed ATGMs or any sort of heat rocket. And so the Magach 3 would very well serve in the German tech tree. I personally have to say that the M48, to bring it quickly into a nutshell, is a tank of two sides. Sometimes it works brilliantly and you just have an incredible run to the point that you don't have it anymore. And then in other situations it's just absolutely broken and I hate it to bits. And so I want to kind of edit here a little bit and show you some scenes that are very frustrating, and then some of the epic win battles. One final note that I have to point out is that the smoke grenades, the smoke launchers, reload really quickly within a capture zone, and you have a wide spread of them, and they just cover a wide range of area. And so I think this tank staying in a cap, it sometimes can take the punishment, it sometimes can have a long duration time. It feels like one of the old heavy tanks of the World War II era, when they were hit, they could absorb multiple shots. Sometimes, and I'm not exaggerating, in terms of surviving shots, surviving penetrations, it sometimes feels like the old Tiger 2 or hell, even a mouse. I'm not exaggerating. Sometimes for unknown reasons, this tank can absorb a huge amount of punishment, and you can defend an area, you can defend a situation very well. And yeah, I think locking down a position, holding a cap, this is what the tank is, I guess, best at. And so I think without further ado, let's go into the battles. Let's see what is what. So I had to mute the scene here, but I got tracked here by a BMP and also shot in the side right now, and it does no damage. So it was just luck, and then bad luck because I tracked him. Then I want to angle myself, at least a hull, and then T-44 on the move, of course. But watch this shot, because he hit directly the machine gun, and he did an over-penetration with a Russian shell that then exploded by leaving the tank, which it shouldn't have the penetration force to do so. So look at this shot, man. If I hit the machine gun, it completely absorbs my shells. But here he has the amazing luck to just hit ammunition in the turret. While I was observing here on ATGM in another battle, well, I was lucky to get here tracked in a dip, and I bounce another shot. And this is from what looks like a Magach, but watch this. Gaijin. What is that? What is that? And yeah, then we have this funny scene here. That was again on another battle. Now I get tracked, and yeah, my engine is dead, I'm tracked, my driver is gone, my gunner is out, but he comes back. But watch this shot. My hash shell just simply bounces on the road wheel, and one could say I was lucky that I got the shot off in the first place with, you know, jam turret ring and the gunner coming back online at the last second, but that the shell just bounces, a hash shell. Yeah, I know it was a drastic angle, but then we have to talk about the overmatch and all those things. So with all those bad luck scenes and just weird game mechanics out of the way, what can the tank do under the best of circumstances? And this is what this battle scene is, and later on I show you also a monumental kind of defense of a capture point with, I think, enough scenes to show what I'm talking about. So here we actually made it over the open, and I always go for this side of the map regardless where the capture point is, because you just have a wider field of fire. And to beat an object 120 in a sniping duel, both coming to a standstill at the same point and initiating a hull break by hitting his gun breech, is always deeply satisfying. And there you can see now the continuous dynamic of the battle. I go into the capture point, I make sure that there is nothing, and I just want to get into cover from this BMP-1, but then we actually knock out his crew, and not a hull break. I think I would have needed a heat or a hash shell for that, but I digress. Kill is kill, it's good. Then I see over the rock, that's an IS-7. Okay, my APDS that I used as stock round is not suited for this job. That's a job for the heat. And now, yeah, I dunked the shell into the rock. Hopefully the IS-7 didn't see it. The IS-7 just comes a split second too late to a standstill, and we actually get an ammo rack on him, which is nice. Now I go back between the rocks, and this is a very, very nice point if you know how to use it. So I observe my surrounding. Is somebody trying to come back? Is somebody going for this capture point? Because while this capture point is more or less in the open, you also can fire at others. So I see that this tank fired, there is a second one with him. I hope that they actually don't get a shot on me. I aim carefully, and again with the APDS we got the kill shot on them with a crew knockout, driver, gunner and commander. So that was really nice. Multi-strike times 4, really, really great. So then I see an RT strike coming in. I have now the heat shell loaded for, you know, the distance shots or against very thick Russian armor. Heat shell is just very, very nice. But again, with the most L7 guns up until the point that you have also the option of AP FSDS, Heat FS is a tier 4 upgrade, which makes the L7 stock grind so much annoying. So we just take our time, we just stay in the frontline position. We have the advantage, there is no need for pressuring. And then I see the tank, he dunks the shot, and of course T-54-47 absorbs the shot of a heat shell to the turret like a bouse. And then we have here the IS-6. And what is that? Oh, hello there. Well, if somebody is blind, I take it. Let's drop an RT strike in the vicinity of this other tank, so he is potentially partially preoccupied. And let's hope that the IS-6 drives in our direction. We just see the turret, but the shot is perfect. So we take out the commander, the gunner, and actually ammo rack him. 6 kills like that. That was really nice. Now that was actually all the kills, and it was continuous action. It was continuing holding this position, having hard cover, peeking out when the others fired, long range devastating fire, pinpoint accuracy, those are the good parts about the L7. And the stock grind and taking on lots of tanks with the stock APDS from the front is difficult but possible. And the problem here is this was not the match that I wanted to show you, because I actually died in it. And the second that I died in it was when I actually made a stupid move. What was that? Well, I tried to get B. So I make a beeline for B after looking around, seeing nothing. And yeah, I just want to cap it as well. I thought I would have depleted the Russian forces on this side enough to actually go there. I saw the ATGM flying, and I ping it on the minimap, but now A gets also captured, so me being there is all the more important. Now, one final thing to note here is I really want to be that guy that carries the team, that pushes forwards and uses opportunities. But sometimes how things are working out, you don't have the chance to do so. And very often it's amazing how aware enemies are when they just pop out of a location, they just instantly see you. So I drop an RT strike on A, maybe destroy some buildings, maybe get a random lucky hit, and then there is the IT1, and I try to duke it, but nope. I might have been lucky here, and I'm quite sure that with the Magach I would have survived it, but the best comes at the end. Object Nano 6 fires blindly into the smoke, hits my turret, and despite having a good angle on that part of armor, I also watched in the replay, he went through anyway and killed me. So this is now the intense battle that I wanted to show you. As you can see, I'm one of not all that many tanks on the southern flank, and I'll go directly for C. Now please pay attention to the speed that I have, because I'm relatively fast, 45 kilometers, if you keep it in a straight line, that is. Now the acceleration is not the most brutal, but at least it's consistent. And so I have the feeling when I'm driving here with a Leopard that very often I struggle to reach the same speed. Now we go slightly uphill, now we go downhill, and you can see 44 kilometers an hour, and we're holding it. That's mostly 10% faster than I'm here with the Leopard 1, if I remember correctly. Now obviously my small corrections very often killed my speed off, but I digress. So here we go now up hills, and I want to see if somebody tries to flank, if somebody tries to just go into the woods, although it should be relatively rare. Now I have the APDS loaded, and maybe I should go to the primary shell, the heat shell, but I wanted to try out this APDS as well, and in many situations I'm really satisfied with it. I think it's so much better than back in the days the APDS on the Leopard. And there is, of course, it's an IS-7 that flanks, because why not? So I'm switching here to the heat shell, of course, because this is what the heat shell is good for, as we demonstrated in the previous gameplay. And we just wait. We just drive backwards, back into hard cover, also visually cover with all the trees and bushes, and let's see what's going on around there. Maybe I can get C. You know, I drop a RT strike into B, because you never know. And just listen to your surrounding, constantly looking around. And I think C is very much easier to cap from this side than from the other side. Now, there was one player with me, and he is actually in a Gepard. So, yeah, my team managed to lose both capture zones in the city. So it's now on me to get at least one. And my task, what I see for myself, is now to defend C. And this position is very favorable to actually also work in a way that you can actually kill the Russian reinforcements. So IS-7s and BMP-2s going to work in town, and there you can see the smoke. Now I use the smoke here quite excessively, and the one thing that this tank also misses is a heavy machine gun. So when I looked at M48, I thought, cool, 50 cal in the tech tree for the Germans. Nope, didn't happen. And we already have the 12 smoke shells because we reload like this. I get here machine guns, but then somebody finishes off the T62 that gave his position away. So I make here a constant crossfire to the enemy team. They see me, they spot me, they fire at me, they expose their sight, they're an easy kill. Talking about easy kills, look at this. The Gepard is in a fight and he receives some heavy machine gun fire. What can this be? I wonder what it is. And it's our friend the IS-7. Aim for the back of the turret. I could have done this shot with the APDS as well, but a kill is a kill. Good stuff right there. And that was actually the heat shell that was intended for that IS-7. Now I kind of missed a chance here to switch ammunition back to APDS, and yeah, it was a trial run, but this trial run of the APDS was actually not affecting my final verdict of this tank, which is, it is a weird tank. It is not good for a push, it's not good for actually moving a lot. It's very good at holding down a position. It's not down to the overall mobility, which is surprisingly good on this tank. No, I don't know how to name it, but this tank is weird for me. I had the most success in the battles that I played, defending an area, using hard cover and peeking out, much like you would expect from a Leopard. But then again, in other battles, I absorbed so much damage and I just, was able to just do the job and use my armor, and I have no idea what the enemies did. But at the end, I was able to absorb shots, but in most battles, of course, you died to one shot that, as you could see in previous scenes, was really weird. So T62 got killed by the mouse, and I managed to slow down this other tank. And yeah, I don't regret to switch here to a heat shell, but seconds later he got killed also by the Leopard 1, so that was teamwork. We destroyed that push to A by the Russians. Russians are only good for rushing B. Oh, actually it was B. For a moment it looked like A, and I didn't look for the first capture zone. I'm sorry, but I digress. You can see I make here extensive use of smoke, and I constantly want to smoke up this area. Smoke works both ways, by the way. While you can hide, the enemy can also hide from your vision, and everybody knows that there is a tank. They just might not have actual knowledge of where exactly you are, but they knew there must be a tank that actually was able to to launch the smoke. And because we are in a cap circle, we constantly can replenish our ammunition. We can get back a crew member as well as also being able to get the smoke back. So capture zones they are. And of course, the second that I fire, he also pulls the trigger. That's one of the downsides. It was hull break. That's the good part about heat. And hash is more difficult to aim. Then we receive here a shot. Obviously, again we smoke up. We get back a crew member. We get instantly back the smoke and repair our tracks. And that was a big heat shell that hit us and did no damage. So I reposition, and that's enough so that we can repair again. And again we can launch a massive smoke layer in front of us, so the enemy has no idea where we are. Just 2 kills so far, so it's not the most intense battle, but this is how you have to play the tank. Was this a shell from the frontal spawn? The southern spawn? Well, the Gepard is firing into that direction. I still have the heat shell loaded, and that is an enemy tank on fire, and I don't take any chances here. The Object 120 kills the Gepard, but I actually hull break here the Object 120, which is always satisfying. Have I ever mentioned how satisfying it is to hull break Object 120s? No, not really? Well, I save it for next time then. A constant lookout, can we get a shot on another tank? The answer is yes, another satisfying hull break on an Object 120. Have I ever mentioned how satisfying that is? No? Oh well. So, yeah, and we chill out here, get ammunition back. We are nearly in full combat conditions, despite getting shot quite a lot. And let's see what our team is able to do. So many of our team members are still alive, they're still fighting hard, and they are still fighting for A. B is in our hands, the reinforcements are coming into the city. There is still some action going on, but you see I held down C, and I just gave as one tank maximum support for our team. Constant maneuvering within the capture zone, using the smoke, switching ammunition to whatever you need, and just looking around, going for kills of opportunity, giving the enemy team a distraction. You can see there's always the risk that you just missed something. And yep, I just received a shot in the side and my turret rotation speed is good enough. I see it, heat shell again. And we actually killed the commander and the gunner and set him on fire, so that's good. Another shot, my turret ring now is jammed. Now we can extinguish the fire and we got our ace. So again, instant repair and we are safe. So that was lucky that we actually moved so that he shot us into the engine. And you can see how important fire prevention equipment is. It would have been a massive shame if I would have died to that, without ever having the chance to go into the lake. And even if, you know, then, yeah, we would be dead. We would have drowned. I digress. So, that's the ace. That's the battle. The smoke was actually working both ways to actually finish that topic off. It not just provided me with visual cover from that one guy with the heat shell. No, it also provided a distraction for the enemy team. Smoke is widely visible for aircraft and tanks, and especially if you respawn in a tank, you just see this huge bank of smoke, and you're just wondering, hey, how does this cloud appear there? Let's better have a look at this. So they expose their side and they're easy to kill. It took me just a split second too long to gun down here this fence, and with an APDS round I would have probably gotten off the shot on this BMP 1 or 2. And then we also have another sniping friend here on this ridgeline. So there are already 2 tanks more preoccupied. The fight on A is still going on. I receive another shot that deals surprisingly no damage. And we launch a smoke cloud bank again. And this is where the tank just feels the most rewarding. You see, you have to embrace the whole situation. It might not have been very amazing, and as a YouTuber you very often cherry pick your very best, your most action-packed scenes, because they are just the most entertaining to watch and the most impressive, and people are like, wow, look at this guy, how he just destroys the entire enemy team. But this is a solid performance. It is a performance that you can actually expect of the tank in the long run. You hold a cap, you have the advantage. Why should you push further? This is very often a mistake that I see many teams do, that they push just into the enemy where they are in just ambush positions and just get visible due to being instantly the spawn campers, being in the open, being very easy to kill, and then this over push, so to say, gets destroyed, and then you just have the counter attack, and you lose your initial attack, and then the gameplay gets very long. It's also very long in this case, but I made the kills. I held down 1 of 3 capture points nearly completely alone, and I just got, I was a big distraction for my team. I didn't lose a tank, I just collected the spawn points, I did all the good stuff, and it's like scenes like this that are just bad luck, where, you know, the Object 120 just does want not to come forward, and when you pull the trigger, well, actually I got the 6th kill here. I didn't remember that. Okay. So that was actually now the reward for my hard work, that easy kill. Did I just hull break an object 120? I feel kind of satisfied. So, that's actually the match. That's actually the match, despite the Russian forces getting into A again. And we lose here a few tanks more. I think let's go straight for the results. So we end here the battle in second place, and for all our efforts we got 42,000 silver lions and 5,740 vehicle research points for researching the TAM. And this is now the truth. We spent a lot of costs on ammunition and also on the smoke launchers. So that's a lot of money, but the performance was actually not that bad. I give this actually an average verdict. It could do a bit more under the right circumstances, and I had in those battles luck that I was actually top tier. That's it from me today. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Please give this video a like if you did, subscribe if you want to see more, and we'll see each other on the battlefields of War Thunder.